everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So, I'm so happy to be back, and I'm going to continue my series of feminine icons and what makes them feminine and what we can learn from them as well. So, I was suggested by some of you to use Ava Gardner as one of the examples of a feminine icon. And I thought that was a great example. I've always found Ava Gardner to be extremely beautiful, just a classic beauty, and she's just like a classic from that classic time in Hollywood of actresses. And I think she's a great example of somebody that has a feminine image that has lasted a lifetime now. First of all, Ava Gardner was an actress, and she has been a part of a Hollywood legacy, to be honest. And I think both her on-screen and off-screen presence has been so influential to a lot of people. So I wanted to look at what makes Ava Gardner a feminine icon. So number one, Ava Gardner was a timeless beauty. She was extremely beautiful. She was regarded as one of the most beautiful people to be on the silver screen, really. And she was very popular in the 1940s and the 1950s, and she fit the feminine and the beauty standards of the time. But what I like with her is she's always been like an interesting beauty because she had dark hair, and I think that contrasted to somebody like Marilyn Monroe, who was a blonde. I know we use mostly Audrey Hepburn as a contrast to Marilyn Monroe, but I think Ava Gardner is also interesting in a way where she's always been extremely confident, and she always showed this strength and femininity in everything that she did, and her beauty translates that. So I've always found it to be extremely interesting, and to see that in her pictures as well. She knew how to be photogenic, how to look beautiful in pictures, which is kind of an art and a skill in itself. So I always thought it was extremely interesting in that way, how she did that. So because not everyone can be so comfortable in front of a camera and so self-assured as well. So I think it's really fun to see that and to kind of be inspired by that as well. So the second thing also with Ava Gardner is she's empowered femininity. So she embraces her femininity in a way where she's so bold and self-assured. I mean, if you see some of the articles about her, she mostly plays characters who were strong, they were passionate and independent. And at that time when she was working, a lot of the roles did not really represent women in a way where they were so independent and strong-willed. So it was interesting that she chose specific roles that made her look like that and portrayed like that with pride and beauty as well, because it does go against the grain and it goes against what is the norm. And to have that type of confidence to want to act in roles like that, it takes a great sense of confidence, and it does take you being very sure of yourself, because people can criticize, and especially at that time women were extremely criticized, and they were for sure taught to not be that self-assured and confident in themselves, because that would not benefit a society at that time. So the fact that Ava Gardner embraced these roles and thought they were interesting makes her also an empowered form of femininity, and I think that's beautiful to watch when you watch her movies. So I do recommend doing that as well. And next thing is, Ava Gardner was extremely independent. She had a form of personal independence. So even though Ava Gardner is extremely known for her relationships with like Mikey Rooney and Frank Sinatra, they were all highly publicized at the time, but she herself made sure she was never defined by her marriages. She was always a very free-spirited person, and she refused a lot of the time to be bound by society's expectations, especially of women. And this confidence to do that really shows how much she valued independence and being her own person, despite how famous her husbands were, and how much people were much more interested in wanting to know her relationships rather than who she was. That didn't bother her because she valued her independence so much that it made her that made her who she was. And I think that is something to take, especially at that time. It is really hard and difficult. It's difficult to even be like that right now, but to do that as well then, it is so interesting. So next up is also Ava Gardner had a global appeal. She was just extremely magnetic. Her presence was magnetic in every single movie and scene she was in. And that's probably why she was able to not only attract the American market, but she was also able to attract the international market as well. Her global popularity was undeniable and everybody knew that, and I think because of that it made her even more of an interesting person. And that speaks a lot to her magnetic appeal as well, because she's able to make many people interested and attracted to her, wanting to see her on front of their screen and wanting to see more of her. To have that automatic appeal takes time, and it is kind of like a skill as well, and to be able to have that requires a person that knows exactly how to tap into appealing to people and making them more interested in them, because it is really hard to be a magnetic person if you don't know the exact skill sets you need. But once you know which skill sets you need, it becomes so easy to have that and to actually want to do that, so, or actually be able to do that. So Ava Gardner knew how to do that to a T, and I think that's why she was able to attract almost every single screen she was in. Everybody wanted to know more of her. She was so popular in the press. It's this magnetism that made us more interested in who is she, what does she do, how is she like. And this is an appeal that not a lot of people can achieve, but if they do, they're able to be so magnetic that you think about them for years, which is exactly what happened to her. We still think about her till this day because of that. Next is Ava Gardner had a very timeless style. If you look at some of her pictures, she had a very sleek, elegant gowns, and a lot of it highlighted her natural beauty and just how effortless her glamour was as well. And I think because of that, people were able to admire that, because having a style that is timeless and a glamour that is timeless as well is not an easy feat. It's so easy to follow trends and things that are so quick and quick fashion. All of these things, it's so easy to hop on these trends, but to have timeless style and items that are staple pieces you can have for a really long time is the goal, because that you can look timeless. Being able to look at your pictures years from now and looking at your clothes and being able to say that, yes, I still love this outfit, I could wear this even now, that shows being timeless. And having that requires taste, and it does require being able to use your eyes to see what looks good on you, what you can use multiple times of. And I found that you don't even need many staple pieces in your style. You just need a few pieces that you can use multiple times in different ways. Then you'll be able to also have this timeless style, and it'll also look effortless because you're not using too much time on figuring out what outfits work with what, because you have such a wardrobe that is able to outfits that are able to be so neutral that you can wear to anything and it's still appropriate. And that is my goal as well. When I look in my wardrobe, I love seeing that it's mostly neutrals and it's mostly pieces I can wear for years, because I feel like it's like an investment. I can wear these pieces for years and I know they're still gonna look good. So that's always an advice I give people, is to make sure to buy these staple pieces that are neutral, and then you will see your wardrobe is beautiful, and you also don't have to waste your time so much on throwing away clothes you don't use anymore. So in a lot of ways it's sustainable as well. So I would really recommend that to achieving this timeless style, such as Ava Gardner knew how to do. And lastly but not least, Ava Gardner was a woman ahead of her time. in many ways, Gardner was very much ahead of her time. She was very adamant about following her own rules and not wanting to be typecast. And she was never interested in following social norms. She always thought about wanting to follow her own path, be free spirited, and use her own personal choices. And at that time, it is to be respected because not a lot of people had the bravery to do that. And in a lot of ways, it's not to shame people at the time they didn't, because it was so difficult for women to be able to stand for themselves and stand up for themselves, because they were teared down and criticized wherever they went. So to see somebody that was so popular, and in a lot of ways untouchable as well, because she was so famous and so popular in Hollywood, to see somebody like that standing up for what she wanted and being and living the way that she did want to live was admirable at the time, and it's still admirable till this day. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video. This one was a lot of fun to make. I don't make a lot of uh, actresses from that era of Hollywood, but I do think it's interesting, and I did think it was a great suggestion. So I hope you guys felt like some of the points were relevant and interesting. And please do let me know if you want me to make a video about somebody else. Comment down below as well what else you want to see. Make sure to also like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.